They captured the public's attention with the power of their words.
The wording is sloppy here.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 most powerful public speakers in history.
Little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
For this list, we'll be ranking the most influential historical personalities who used their oratory talents for major social change during their lives, for better or worse.
Wird diese Bewegung seine Kräfte leihen und für sie eintreten, so wie in den Jahren, die hinter uns liegen.
Number 10. Mahatma Gandhi. It isn't always wild gesticulations and booming voices that grab a crowd's attention. Case in point, Mahatma Gandhi, a leader for Indian independence, who was known for his soft-spoken demeanor and policies of non-confrontational civil disobedience, or ahimsa.
To gain independence, we must prove worthy of it.
One of Gandhi's most famous speeches, Quit India, saw the leader call upon Indians to utilize passive resistance against British occupation of the country and decline to participate in World War II. This practice involved boycotts of British products, including government schooling, while Gandhi himself went on fasts and hunger strikes, which often left him severely weakened.
That's why I have so much tolerance for the other scoundrels of the world.
Nevertheless, Gandhi caused significant social change by backing up his compelling speeches with actions, making him an enduring figure in historical public speaking.
All that has happened is that I've grown a little thinner.
Number 9. Marcus Tullius Cicero. Ancient Rome, a legendary empire, hailed itself as the pinnacle of government and culture, and in turn influenced Western civilization. The texts from this era that survive give an idea of the compelling arguments used by preeminent figures of the day. One of these was orator Marcus Tullius Cicero.
We are all of us imperfect in our way.
He was taught in both Latin and Greek, meaning he learned from yet another important culture, which had great speakers like the first citizen of Athens himself, Pericles. It was that grasp on language that allowed Cicero to translate much of Greece's rhetoric into Latin.
It always comes to this.
Cicero was also involved in government and law, where he utilized rhetoric to convince all who listened of his arguments, including the generations of politicians, lawyers, and public figures who study his work today.
The words of Cicero, powerfully relevant 2,077 years later.
Number 8. Margaret Thatcher.
The history and the destiny of our countries have been and always will be inextricably intertwined.
Early in her career, Thatcher was quoted as saying, quote, "I don't think there will be a woman prime minister in my lifetime," but she was obviously proven wrong. Taking office in May of 1979, Thatcher was quickly nicknamed the Iron Lady.
They're welcome to call me what they like if they believe that we should ignore the buildup of Russian military strength.
Thatcher was the first woman to be British Prime Minister, and also held the position the longest out of anyone in the 20th century. Thatcher's longevity as PM is in part thanks to her controversial and unyielding style of speech and leadership.
When evil has to be overcome, then Britain will take up arms.
Indeed, public opinion of Thatcher's policies on deregulation, labor, and privatization of businesses was so strong that her influence continues to be felt today, both in Britain and around the world.
Where there is discord, may we bring harmony. Where there is error, may we bring truth.
Number 7. Ronald Reagan.
I know it's hard to understand, but sometimes painful things like this happen. It's all part of the process of exploration and discovery.
The 40th President of the United States may have first found fame as an actor.
I won't take charity.
But his legacy as America's Commander-in-Chief earned him the nickname the Great Communicator. This moniker was merited, in part, thanks to Reagan's ability to connect with an audience during his speeches.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
This was largely due to the perception that the former president came across as sincere, simple, and honest, using terms people could understand, but also being succinct and quotable. The country may not have always agreed with Reagan's policies, but they almost always paid attention whenever he took the podium for a speech.
But if history teaches anything, it teaches that simple-minded appeasement or wishful thinking about our adversaries is folly.
Number 6. Nelson Mandela.
Poverty is not natural. It is man-made, and it can be overcome and eradicated by the actions of human beings.
Nelson Mandela gave a speech in 1964 while on trial in apartheid South Africa that remains one of the most important and iconic addresses of the 20th century.
I am the first accused. I am a convicted prisoner, serving 5 years.
Speaking for 3 hours, this activist used the power of the spoken word to resonate with his supporters and to challenge those who had put him on trial. Mandela stressed that he was willing to die for his ideals of a democratic South Africa. And it was this passionate belief behind his words that made Mandela a hero to many around the world.
The walk to freedom and equality seems, alas, still to be a long one ahead.
Though some have criticized Mandela's switch to armed protest with the spear of the nation after first espousing peaceful, non-violent solutions, the leader's legacy remains firmly entrenched within the culture of South Africa.
If I cannot change when circumstances demand it, how can I expect others to?
Number 5. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Roosevelt's public speaking style is perfectly encapsulated by the fireside chats, a series of radio broadcasts that he used to discuss directly with the American people such issues as unemployment, finance, and the costs of fighting a war overseas. These chats led the United States through both the Great Depression and World War II during his tenure as president.
Hostilities exist.
It was the perceived intimacy of these chats that likely led to Roosevelt's popularity among his supporters, as they served as a comforting presence during times of troubling uncertainty and danger.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
His presence and assurance were especially needed following the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941. In under 8 minutes, he gave what is known as the infamy speech, convincing almost everyone that it was time to proclaim war. Number 4. Adolf Hitler.
Deshalb friedfertig sein und mutig zugleich.
The rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi movement continues to be a chilling reminder of how powerful a zealous oratory presence can be in persuading a population. Indeed, Hitler made over 5,000 speeches in his lifetime and was instrumental in one of the most deplorable periods in history through an almost supernatural ability to tap into the fears and prejudices of an entire nation.
Aber alle diese Verräter werden bezahlen. Mit ihrem eigenen Blut werden sie bezahlen.
Charisma and presence were just 2 of the ingredients needed to spark the powder keg that became World War II Germany.
I'm forming a provisional Reich government. I will be in charge of the police. General Ludendorff will be in charge of the army.
However, it was also Hitler's ability to find the right things to say at the right times that managed to strike at the hearts of German citizens.
Wir stehen fest zusammen für unser Deutschland. Und wir müssen fest zusammenstehen für dieses Deutschland.
Number 3. Martin Luther King Jr.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed.
Martin Luther King Jr.'s talent and knowledge in public speaking made him more than just an icon of the civil rights movement that included other powerful speakers like Malcolm X.
But I don't believe in forcing my desire for brotherhood upon those who aren't willing to accept it.
Dr. King's iconic status as an orator is due not only to the passion of the words he chose, but also the manner with which they were delivered. Like the true preacher he was, King always appeared confident at the podium and spoke with a relaxed cadence that seemed to put audiences at ease.
Because no lie can live forever. Yes, sir. How long? Not long.
Add to this the fact that King increased that impression of genuineness by rarely referencing his prepared materials during famous moments, like his I Have a Dream speech, and you have a recipe for one of history's finest public speakers.
Because I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Number 2. John F. Kennedy.
Let all our neighbors know that we shall join with them to oppose aggression or subversion anywhere in the Americas.
American presidents are often placed front and center as some of history's greatest public speakers. John Fitzgerald Kennedy may not have served as his nation's president for long, but in his almost 3 years in office, he managed to make a lasting impact on the country, a significance that still resonates today.
We preach freedom around the world, and we mean it. And we cherish our freedom here at home.
This was not only due to Kennedy's youthful demeanor and natural body language, but also in his ability to use the tone and volume of his voice in a constructive way to strengthen his message. JFK utilized all of these skills to make famous speeches like his 1961 inaugural address,
The energy, the faith, the devotion,
and his moon speech at Rice University a year later, both of which became milestones of his short but memorable presidency.
And therefore, as we set sail, we ask God's blessing on the most hazardous and dangerous and greatest adventure on which man has ever embarked. Thank you.
Before we name our most impactful public speaker, here are some honorable mentions.
Abolishing slavery by constitutional provision settles the fate for all coming time.
Rather than go out and do something positive, there are people within every group who look at those who have accomplished something and sit there and criticize.
Voyez-vous ce que je veux dire? Il n'est pas si facile que ça d'ajuster les politiques.
Number 1. Winston Churchill. Public speaking can leave some people absolutely petrified, and this fear can afflict even the most talented orators, like former British Prime Minister Winston Churchill. He conquered his fear through dedicated practice and became PM in the thick of World War II. His first speech in the position positively inspired British Parliament. Then, before the Battle of Britain, Churchill roused troops for their fight against Nazi Germany, aligning himself with them and motivating them.
War with Germany will come. And we will need a king whom we can all stand behind united.
Churchill carefully chose every word for his speeches, meticulously editing and making sure to maximize their impact on his audience. He was obviously successful, and as a result, Churchill solidified his position as one of history's master orators.
That in the days to come, the British and American peoples will, for their own safety and for the good of all, walk together in majesty, in justice, and in peace.
Do you agree with our list? Which speaker do you think has had the most influence over an audience?
The American people did not choose this fight. It came to our shores.
For more powerful top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
They're welcome to call me what they like if they believe that we should ignore the buildup of Russian military strength.